Welcome to the Geeks Garage. Today, I do apologise, I only have the camera looking at me and the camera on my scope. I am upgrading and getting another camera that shines down onto the work mat, which will be much better when that arrives. Okay, got Joycon. It's the Plus Joycon. It's in for A button, and the plus button isn't working. Okay, I've not opened up, I've not seen what's happening inside. Thought I'd throw the camera on and see what happens. Okay, to take these apart, you need a Joycon. You need well, you do need a Joycon. You need a tri-wing screwdriver. Try and make sure they are a good fit, because these screws round off fairly easy. I don't know if somebody's tried to open that, but it's the only one that's got a bit of damage on. Yeah, they do round off fairly easy, so you have to make sure you've got a good fitting screwdriver. It's in nice and straight. Small amount of pressure on the top. Take them out. They're not very long. They're threaded quite wide, so they come out fairly quick. There's four, one in each corner. Okay. You take them out. Literally, you just pull it apart. The top casing comes off. There's a little click at the back that holds it together. The top casing comes off. You've got to be careful, because the top and bottom's attached with two ribbon cables. Yeah. Now the battery is stuck on with some sticky tape, so you just stick a pry tool underneath it and pop it off. This has been opened before because that sticky tape isn't sticky and isn't holding the battery in anymore. Okay. And then you got three Phillips screwdrivers. Three Phillips screws. One on the bottom and two at the top near the shoulder buttons. Okay, so we'll whip these out first. And then the bottom corner one. Okay, now this middle tray can come out. Now you need to be really careful with this one, because the ZR button is held on with this flex here, and it is very, very short. So you need to pull it to the side, twist it, and then just gently turn it over. Okay. As you can see, it's very, very short. Oh, this has had a repair. Look at that. Look at that. It's quite tidy actually. It's been cleaned up well. But yeah, it's had the micro button replaced, and the pads have been torn off, so it's had some jump wires put in. Well done. Looks that tidy, well and clean. Okay, so we'll just whip this apart. I will take this one out because it is very tight and it is in the way, and I have to get to the bottom of the board to see why we don't have a plus button and the battery just pops off, by the way. Just give it a little tug and it'll come straight out. We will open these up as well. Little flaps at the top. Oh, sorry, wrong side. Black one. That ribbon will come out, and then the other one is at the back of it, and then it slides out. That's the rail removed. Okay, and we'll remove that as well. This is the aerial. Okay, now to get the board out, you have to take the analog stick out as well, which is this ribbon cable here. The black tab lifts up the way, and the ribbon cable will just slide out. Now I find it, instead of pulling and tugging with the ribbon cable, I find it easier just to pop the screws off and lift it out, and it'll come out no problem. Okay, there's 2 screws, one in each corner. Okay, and as you lift it out, just give it a twist and that'll pop straight out, no problem at all. Put that to one side. Now we're left with this, which is the bottom tray with the logic board still connected. Now this is held in with 2 Phillips screws, okay, one here and one here. That's all that holds that in. The vibration module, which is here, that's held in, but that's connected to the board with this little tab here that just pulls out. Get a firm grip of the 2 wires, hold the board down at the same time, and just give it a little wiggle and a pull, and that'll come out. You also have 2 ribbons at the back, one for the buttons. They are a pain to put back in, but you can't get the board out without taking them out, unfortunately. So you lift them up, the tabs, take the 2 screws out, okay, now 2 screws are out, these 2 tabs are undone. Now we just lift the board up from this side and peel it back a little bit like a hinge, okay, and when it's open, pull it up to take those ribbon cables out, put that board to one side. Okay, now we have the board out. That's the underneath. These are your buttons. I'm looking at the A button, which is this one here. It's not working. Now it's got a nice click to it, but apparently, well, it's not working on test. So, and then the plus button as well, which is this little gold one at the top here. If we give that a little test, see if we've got a click on that as well. And yes, we do. So the physical examination of those buttons is good, okay. So what can the problem be? What can the problem be? What we'll do is we'll have a good look at the board, look for any water damage, look for anything that stands out. Okay, that looks good on that side. Let's flip it over, have a little look on the other side. Again, all looking good. There's nothing that stands out to me to say that this isn't or shouldn't or isn't working. Now, we don't know the history of, is that soldered on that side? Yeah, barely. Yeah, we don't know the history of the board. Don't know why it's not working. Now, what I am actually going to try first is I'm going to move that to one side and I'm going to bring this back out. Now, if this wasn't seated perfect, it might not have been pressing the buttons, because it is this one. Is it that one? Yeah, it's this corner one here and this one here. I think I may have jumped the gun a little bit. I think I should have checked that these were all sat well, because I can see marks here which could tell me that maybe this corner was raised up slightly and not sat in its grooves, because if this pad is sat on the edge here, it won't be lifting up to make that connection. So, and that one might have been out. Basically what I'm saying is the person that done that repair and put this board back may have made a small mistake and it not being sat flush properly. So the way that we're going to test that is by connecting the side rail back up, connecting the battery back up, connecting it to a switch and pushing the buttons ourselves and see if we actually get them working. If we get them working, then all we've got to do is put the whole thing back together correctly. So first of all, let's get these back together. Okay. And nice and flush. Ah, that connector's broken. No, it's not. That one sits on top. Sorry. These two little shoulders here, they actually go on the inside, like that. Okay. And then that comes and clamps it down. So no, it's not broken. Do apologise. So we have the rail on. Let's put the battery on. This is the battery connector just here. Now, don't do what some people do and try and put the battery connector, press it down with a set of metal tweezers, because you will short out the fuse. Do it with the plastic. Can't go wrong. Right, that's in. Do we have any charge? It's got charge. It's flashing back into. Let's see if we can get it to connect to this switch. Okay, what I'm going to do, sorry about that, what I am going to do is connect it to the rail. Okay. So I'll slide it down onto the switch. I know you can't really see very well. Now you heard it connect, okay? You heard it connect. Now, if we go through the options, go to input test device, test controller buttons, okay? Now, A's working. No, A wasn't working and now it's working. Let's see if I can show you this. A, yeah? Watch. A's working. Plus still isn't working, but A's working, X is working, Y is working, B is working. Okay. But we still don't have the plus button's not. Oh yeah, the plus button is working if I put a bit of pressure behind it. There you go. That basically wasn't put together properly by the last person. Now I've stripped it all down, not the end of the world. We've checked everything's right. We'll pop it all back together, put it back in the case, then put it back onto this switch and check that we actually have it all working. Alright, disconnect it. That's it, disconnected. Okay, now I will pop the battery back out. You just give that a tug, comes out. Take the rails back off the side, through the connectors. Okay, and let's put this board, let's put all this back together, and hopefully we'll put it back together properly and it will be working as it should. Now, like I was saying before, these two ribbons are an absolute pain to get in. I'll try my hardest not to block it out the way, but basically I like to get this black one in. If I can get the black one in, it's generally fine. That is the hardest one, and actually it's gone in fairly well. Oh yeah, you can see that. Okay, now this one. So push it backwards, get it in place like that. Now this will slide in. If it doesn't, get your tweezers at the side, try not to squash it or damage it, and just push it in a little bit. Okay. Now I will leave that connector open, because when we sit it down, we get everything lined up, we will resit that one, make sure it's perfectly in place. Okay. Right, that's that bottom board back in place. We just need to make sure that this ribbon is all the way in, which it is. Perfect. Okay, now these buttons underneath, make sure they're in place. If you hold the back of the board and just give them a little press, you should feel them click. Yeah, and I can feel them clicking. So that's sat in nice. We have to put the two screws back into the board. Yeah, one goes here near the top connector. Sorry, my screwdriver doesn't fit under the scope. Okay, the other one comes down here at the bottom. Okay, now the next thing to connect is a vibration module. That just slides in, little press and you'll hear it click. Lovely. Next thing to put in is the analog stick. Okay, that'll go in place. You put your two Phillips screws back in, one at the bottom here. One at the top corner. Okay. And then this ribbon cable, I like to just bend it up, stick it in the opening, then just press it down and slide it in nice and gently. Done. Okay. Now the next thing I like to put in at this stage is the side rail. Okay. Put the two ribbons back in for the side rail. Lift that up. You can generally get this in with a small amount of wiggling, actually of the side rail like that, and then push the connector down. Didn't need to use any tweezers or anything with that one. The other one you do. The other one doesn't like to go in as easy, so it just needs a little help with some tweezers to get it lined up properly, and then the two shoulders, and slide it in. Make sure it's in nice and square. Okay, now the next part to go in is the R button, making sure the spring's in as well. It goes in the corner and it just sits in a little groove. Oh, you can't see again, sorry. It just sits in a small groove here with it underneath the spring, and the shoulder sits in there. Okay, now got to be careful at this point because that can pop off and fly away. The spring disappears on you. So this part here is the hardest connector of this Joy-Con to get in because the ribbon is so short. Yeah. So it has to come in whilst it's on its side. Black part faces up. Okay. But it's so short and tight. It's not the easiest. Okay, I've got that in. When you close the connector, it does stay pretty good, to be fair. Okay. Before we pull that round, use our plastic connector again and put the areola back in, and just push this in place here. Don't want to. There you go, she's in. Make sure it turns, and it's not, that'll let you know that it's not sat on sideways or anything like that. Now the next stage is we can put the middle back in place. That now holds in the R button. That holds that in place, it won't come back out now. Okay, put these 3 screws back in place. I like to start off with the bottom one that does like to stick to the vibration module, so you've got to be fairly quick before it jumps off your screwdriver. The 2 top ones can now go in place. Now it's these 2 top ones that hold down and allow your buttons to work. Okay, so that's what will stop everything moving around on the inside. Now they don't have to be dead tight, they do have to be in place. Now at this point, don't know if you can hear that, but I'm getting a nice positive click off the plus button and the 4 controller buttons. Right, next is the battery. Please, when you connect the battery, do it with a plastic object. If you do it with the metal one and you happen to touch both of those prongs, that's it, you've shorted out your motherboard. The logic board will be shorted out. Okay. Now this battery isn't sticking down very well, so just a small amount of double-sided tape, stick it in the middle of the cradle. Okay, that will help stick your battery down, stops it rattling around when the kids are playing. Okay, now the aerial goes back on and you route this wire back round and it just clicks all into place here, keeping everything nice and tidy and out of the way of the main case. Okay, now that's all that back together. Right, and now put the bottom casing back on. You'll hear it click at the back. That's it. We've got our connecting lights coming on. In fact, I just heard it connect to the switch. So we put our 4 corner tri-screws back in. Again, making sure they're going in straight, making sure your screwdriver's lined fairly well, because you don't want to round them off because they're a pain. they don't need to be too tight, just screw them in and then just give them a tiny little nip. Yeah. And when you're working on this way round, have to be aware that the analog stick is sticking out the bottom and causing it not to sit flush. Now remember not to push that analog stick too hard, because you'll break it and the button won't work pushing it in anymore. Okay. Can I get used to see this way round? Okay. Let me put this camera on. Let's see if I can make this big. In fact, no, it's alright, you can see. Yeah? Okay. Put that back on. Let's test the buttons. Analog stick's working. Okay. B's working. Y's working. X is working. A's working. Positive's not working. Right, okay. ZR's working and R's working. And the home's working. Right. That positive button's not working still. So we have to take this apart again. We have to open it back up. Now it did work when I applied a little amount of pressure on the underneath. So either the two top screws haven't gone in tight enough and it's still allowing it to move, or the button itself isn't on the board properly, and when I've applied pressure at the back it's helped it connect. Now I don't think it's the button at the back, because when we look through the microscope it looked as though it was sat quite well. So let's pop this apart and we will have another quick look. You know, you don't get everything perfect every time. I mean, it might be that that button has to come off the board and we have to put a new one on. And if we have to do that'll make a good video, because you know those buttons are very small, made of plastic with a little plastic film covering over the top. So they're not the easiest buttons to replace, that's for sure. Now it's still connected to the switch because I can hear it when I push the buttons. Okay, right, I've got it apart. If I apply some pressure at the back of this plus button and press it, I'm getting nothing. Oh, yeah, it's working if I press it really hard. Right, okay. What to do about that? Right. I'm going to have to strip it back down again. And look at that button properly. It's clicking. Can I click from it? That's all I'm getting. Right. Let's strip it back down. Yeah. So maybe this wasn't just a case of it not sitting properly. It definitely was with the A button, because we didn't have an A button before either. Right, I've got the board open to a point where I can apply pressure again on the back of this and push the A button at the same time. Am I getting it to work, to click? and that's the R button, and put press in there. Let's move that out of the way. Right. No, that is not working. Right. How did I get that to work before? Right, okay. Let's remove the ZR button. Okay, that's out of the way. Now I've got a tight grasp of this now. Let's try again. Oh, sorry. I must have pushed the home button by accident on that. I want it to still be on the switch because I want to be able to hear. I want to be able to hear it. I'm getting a low battery on the controller now. No, that definitely isn't working. But it did work before, so let's strip it back down, whip the battery out, take the rail off. I won't talk through everything that I'm doing again, it's just the exact same as before. Let's strip it down so we can have a little look at that button, see what the issue with it is. Now it may be that we replaced the button and it still isn't working. There's not a lot we'll be able to do about this, but if we get this all connected with the battery again, because what I want to do is if I can press that button by hand and it works, then there's a possibility that the actual rubber pad underneath needs replaced and then not the button on the board. So we'll put all this back together again. Sorry, not put it all back together, but we will get the rail back on so we can test it. I'm sorry you can't see, it's really difficult for me to try and keep it in such a small field of view. Okay, that's the rail reconnected. Put the battery back in. Okay. Do we have life? Yes. Is it going to connect to our switch again? No, it hasn't. I'm still trying to find this. Oh, it's because I've not got the aerial plugged in. Let's get the aerial plugged back in. Now we're going to find the switch. Yes. Okay. Now we're getting button click. Yeah, A's still working. All those are working. Right, let's have a look at the plus button again. Now that isn't working this time round. I'll push it with this. Oh, yeah, I'm getting the plus button to work again. That's the plus button. Right. Only when my finger's at the back of it. Right, that plus button has to come off the board. It has an issue. Okay. That's got to come off the board. We have to put a new one in. You're in for an alright video here now, I think, if you have an interest in it. So let's whip it all apart again. Okay. Right. I'm going to put it in a board holder. Help me move all this rubbish out the way. It will help me, you know, keep the board in place. I absolutely love this board holder, by the way. Absolutely fantastic. It will pretty much hold any board solid. Now let's move the microscope forward so we can see the button. Now this is the button. This is the one that has to come off. Okay, and we have to put the new one on. I don't know why we're having a problem with it, but we are. Okay, now a small amount of Captain tape to protect these buttons here from the excessive heat. Yeah. It's not perfect, but it's all we actually have to help us protect everything else around it. Okay, and another little bit just to help protect the micro shoulder button. If we can. Right. Okay. What we'll do now is we'll get this switch out of the way. We will get a closer look on this button. I can't understand why that's damaged or not working. All appears to be working there. Okay. What I might do first is just try and touch the solder joints up. Just to give it a quick little reflow and see if that sorts it. If not, we'll have it off. Okay. Where is my solder wire? It is. Okay. Let's. I know we've got to take it all back off the board again, and the board holder and stuff, but if it was just a dodgy joint, it's easier and better. Okay, now back off the board holder. The board holder out of the way. And once again, let's put the side rail back on, and the right way around would help, Colin. Okay. Yep. Aerial. Battery. Okay. Let's connect it to the switch again. Will it connect? Has it got life? Yep, that's connected to the switch. Let's try shoulder button. The R button's working. Is this button working now? Yes. Perfect. Yeah. So that's all it needed. A reflow. Lovely. So no, you're not going to see me put one of those buttons on because I don't need to. I would have done, but if we had an issue after that, I wouldn't have done any more, because at the end of the day, it's just a controller. It's not going to pay financially to do so much work, but I am happy that the work we have done has got this working again, and the customer's going to be happy. You know, it's we'll have a happy customer. Have a little look at them there now again. I couldn't see through the microscope. It looked fine, but a little reflow on those 4 pads. It's worked. Perfect. Now I could end the video here and just all put it back together, but I won't. I'm going to keep the video running. I'm going to put it back together, and then we'll try it out again, because I've watched other people's videos and they get slated for not showing the end results. So if you're bored, turn it off. If not, I'll throw it all back together and we will try it together. Okay, I'll try my hardest to let you see as much as possible. Like I said, I have got a new camera on order that will show my working map, so you'll be able to see a lot more instead of just out of this scope cam, which, you know, they're fantastic for what they are, but they're not very good for showing you detailed, well, the bigger picture, let's say. Out the whole of this is the bit I hate the most, is getting these ribbons back in, because they're just tedious pain. This is in. Now, let's say, first thing we do is put these screws back in place. Can you see what I'm doing? There we go. The two silver little screws that hold the board back in place, we'll put them back in. Okay, those ribbons are back in. Now we'll connect the vibration module, that's in. Okay, the R button, we'll put this back in. Okay, I mean the R button doesn't have to go in before you put this ribbon in. Sometimes I put it in that way, sometimes I do it the other way, because sometimes the R button will pop out when you're trying to get this ribbon in. Because this ribbon is a pain, it really is. In fact, I don't know which one's worse, this one or the other two. But this one's very, very short, it's just a nightmare. I have to sometimes look through my scope to help me do it, to be honest. Come on. Yeah, this one is a pain. Okay, now it's closed on me. You just can't see, can you? Sorry. Your field of view on the camera is nowhere near as good as my field of view through the actual scope. I can see like most of this Joycon without moving the scope around, and you can only see a tiny bit. Oh come on, what am I doing? It's one of them. You'll either get it straight away, or you'll spend longer doing this than what you do stripping the whole thing apart. If I can get away, if I'm not taking the board out, I don't take this ribbon cable out. This only doesn't matter what repair I'm doing, this only comes out if the board's coming out, because it is a pain. It's like that now, it's in. Okay, I've got to try and close it without it coming back out. Right, that's in. Pain in the backside. Okay. Now, I haven't put the side rails back on. Dafty. That's me just rushing because I know I've got a video recording and I don't want everybody to sign off before I get it all together and show you the end result. Okay, that's back in. Just made my job harder, really, by doing it that way. got to admit. Right, they're back in place. Let's screw in the come on. Let's screw in the central casing. There's one screw at that end, two at the top. Like I said, these two at the top is what holds down the buttons and makes them all have a good connection. Okay. Next, the aerial, which really I should have done first. Doing this, the way I done it the first time round is the correct way. Where I'm doing it now is just rushing. A bit daft, but hey ho. Okay. Now we'll put the battery in place. Okay. Put the battery in. Route the aerial wire back round because it came out. Okay, that's in place. Just heard it all come on. Let's close it up. Oh. Oh dear me. Brilliant. Brilliant. But I don't need that to show you if it's working or not, okay? Let's see. I will obviously take it apart and put it back in. Let's see how you can see. If I end that and then restart it, we'll blank. Right, okay. A originally wasn't working. Yeah. A is now working. Positive wasn't working. Positive's now working. Okay. That's done. I won't keep the video going while I take it apart again to put the analog stick back in that I just forgot to put in this time round. But as you can see, that Joy-Con's fixed, working, and after the analog stick's back in, it'll get sent back out to the customer. Right, thank you very much for watching. I much appreciate it. If you do like what you've seen today, I will be starting to do more videos. I will have another new camera, and I'd like to see you again. So if you click that like and subscribe button, we will see each other again. And like I say, there will be more interesting videos showing you lots of different things. I do a lot of micro soldering, so it's great to have done this video today, and I hope I'll see you again. Thank you.